Hey everyone, welcome to part 6 of this trophy and achievement guide for the original Final Fantasy VII. We just got the Buggy from Dio in the gold saucer, and now what we want to do is to drive around this area until we find a monster who can teach us a new, very powerful enemy skill. Make sure that before you do this, everyone is at full health, because this enemy skill will do a lot of damage to everyone, and then of course make sure that you save the game just in case something goes wrong. If your characters are a higher level than mine, then you will most likely be in a better spot to survive this, but if you are struggling with it, I'll show you a backup strategy in just a moment for how to make this a little bit easier. Start by driving around the desert area until you encounter this enemy. This is Harpy. He's got 800 HP and he has the enemy skill called Aqualung. He'll begin with two things: either he'll use Poison Storm or a physical attack. After he uses a physical attack, he will always use Aqualung, so get ready for that. Make sure that you are at full health with everyone. And I am trying to manipulate him with Cait Sith. If you can get him to be manipulated, you'll be in a lot better spot, because then you can control when you get hit by that Aqualung. So you can see that it did devastating damage to pretty much everyone. We're all at very low health. I'm going to return fire with that Aqualung, and it will do a lot of damage to him. He's got 800 HP, so I barely didn't kill him with that. If I were to use a different character and just do like one normal attack or something, or throw a Molotov, I definitely would have hit him and killed him with that Aqualung. But I'm just going to finish him off with this Braver, and then we're going to end this battle. So we did get it barely by the skin of our teeth. We accomplished learning the Aqualung enemy skill. And you can see that even though Barrett died, we still maintain that enemy skill. It's only if you get ejected from battle or run away that it doesn't count. So that water damage on all enemies is going to be very powerful, and we'll use it coming up too. Now we just have to revive our party members. We can use a couple of Phoenix Downs. Remember, we got 10 of those by going into the Cockatolus nest in the previous video. And then we're just going to make sure that everyone is all healed up. Once that's done, we're going to proceed on. If you want to save the game just for safety, make sure that you do that. And now we're going to go over and get another enemy skill, and it's called Big Guard. When you cast Big Guard, it causes a barrier, magic barrier, and haste on all the party members, and that would be very useful for surviving Aqualung. So if you need to, go get this enemy skill first. You just have to go a little bit toward the northeast. You can drive right along the beach here, back and forth, and then eventually you'll get into a fight with another enemy called the Beach Plug. These guys each have 200 HP, so they're not too difficult. They also attack with fairly weak physical attacks, so don't worry too much about that. What we want to do is to manipulate one of them so that we can take control of him and determine which attack he's going to do. So now that it's Cait Sith's turn again, we can actually have the Beach Plug that we manipulated cast a Big Guard on our party. And like I said before, it gives us a barrier, magic barrier, and the haste status effect. Haste causes our ATB bars to fill up even faster, so that's really good for us. Now we just have to finish off all of these enemies. I would recommend using some sort of magic that hits everyone. I'm going to use Shiva as a summon just to take them all out at once. Otherwise, you could just use Aqualung as well. Now, if you couldn't learn Aqualung from the Harpy, now that you have Big Guard, just go back down toward the southwest, back to that desert, and then make sure that you get to Aqualung before moving on. And now that that's all done, we're going to go a little bit further up toward the northeast, and we're going to drive right into Costa del Sol. Don't get out of your buggy, just go straight inside. We'll go up the stairs and into the door on the right. That will take us into this room. Let's go to the far back right corner where we can take the stairs down. If we go around the corner here, we can open up this treasure chest to get a fire ring. The guy wakes up and it seems like we're in trouble, but he says that we can take everything if we want to. Kind of a play in the motif that in RPGs, you can just steal anything you want to from people's homes. Make sure that you grab the motor drive, a new weapon for Tifa, as well as the power source, and then head back out. We're going to now go straight across this bridge here and go back over by the boat. We can go talk to the sailor standing next to the dock. He's willing to make us a deal that for just 100 gil, he will transport us as well as our buggy all the way back across the ocean to the other continent where we will arrive in Junon. So let's agree to pay up and then head onto the ship. Now this does play out pretty slowly, so I'm going to speed it up just for the sake of time, and then when we dock, we will be back inside Junon. Now that we're in Junon, we're going to work on a couple things. First off, we're going to get a new enemy skill, then we're going to get a new important item so that we can get Aerith's final limit break, and we're going to work on her limit breaks as well. Let's start by going into the next screen. There's going to be a man in a sailor uniform waving his arms in the middle of the road. Let's talk to him and say sure, and then he's going to call in a helicopter to act as our taxi. So it will fly in, and then we're going to get a choice for where we want to go. We can either go into the next sector, or we can go outside of Junon. We want to go outside of Junon, so let's just choose that option, and then he's going to fly us out of here. We're now outside of Junon, inside of our buggy automatically. Let's start driving over toward the east. We're going to follow this mountain range around, and then we're going to follow this forest around as well as we go now toward the northeast and eventually north, crossing over this shallow water spot denoted by the light blue next to the dark blue river. We're going to go over toward the right side, and there's going to be a cave over here. Let's hop out and go inside. Now, there's a man inside. The first time you talk to him, he might not tell you a whole lot. He's just going to be a little bit sleepy here. If that happens to you, just leave this room, and then we're going to go right back inside of it so that we can talk to him again. He's going to tell us how many battles we fought so far. So you can see we fought 101 times. What you need is for the last 2 digits of those to be the same and to be an odd number. So I need to get to 111 battles, or 133, or 155, or 177, or 199, something like that, where the last 2 digits are odd and the same. I know that I have to get into 10 more fights, so I'm just going to go around here and I'm going to run around in circles and get in fights. I'm not going to actually battle these things so much, I just have to encounter the fight and then I can run away. So that was one fight. Let's keep going until we get into another one. This is the second fight, so my total battle counter is now up to 103. Yeah, there's no real reason to fight these things for me because, again, I'm trying to keep my level on the low side for an upcoming boss fight. So instead, we're just going to run away. But there is one monster around here that we definitely do want to encounter because we can learn a new enemy skill from him. Here's the enemy we need. His name is Zemzelet. He's got 285 HP, and he's got a couple attacks. Number one, he can flap his wings and cause a small tornado that does very little damage to all party members. He can also pop off a much stronger ability called Thunderbolt, and that will do a couple hundred HP damage to one of our party members. But what we really are interested in is his enemy skill, and that would be White Wind. The only way that you can learn that is if you can successfully manipulate him and have him use it on our party members. White Wind is a skill that allows you to heal your entire party the same amount as the caster's current HP. So if the caster has 9,000 HP, you'll heal everyone for 9,000. If the caster only has 100 HP, then they only get 100. So the best time to use it is when one party member has high HP and the other ones have low HP. Because it took so long to manipulate him, he was able to use Thunderbolt, which used up enough of his MP that he can't cast White Wind anymore. If that happens to you, you have the choice between either running away, finishing the battle by killing him, or you can toss an ether at him like I did, so that he will have the MP he needs to cast White Wind. You'll see everyone got healed for 285 HP, which is exactly the amount that he has at max, and now I'm just going to finish him off with a Braver to the back. And with that, the Zemzelet is dead, and we are able to move on. We've successfully gotten another very useful enemy skill, and now we just have to run around this area a little bit longer so that we can get our total battle count up to 111. Now, I fully understand it would be very boring to watch me just get into a bunch of fights and to run away, so I'm going to cut out most of them. I'm just going to show you that I do in fact get the encounter, and then I just run away. So here we are at number 106. After that, we'll have 107. Followed, of course, by 108. After that, we have 109. Now it's 110. And finally, we have number 111. So the last 2 digits of this number are the same and they're odd, which means that we've gotten to the point where we can go and collect the Mythril from the man inside the cave. We'll just run away from this fight, and then when that's done, we don't want to get into any more fights. We're just going to run inside the cave very quickly. Now go over and talk to him. Who are you? I guess it was fate that I woke up and met you here. Received Mythril. That's all we need to do here. We will exchange that Mythril for another item later to learn Aerith's final limit break at Great Gospel, but we can't do that for a little while. Instead, we're going to head back over toward the Mythril mines using the Buggy. Now, I want to teach you a little trick with the Buggy, how to avoid combat. You see, every time you get in and out of the Buggy, it resets the little counter behind the scenes for when you're going to get an encounter with an enemy. So as you go along, if you quickly press circle to get out of the Buggy and then press X to get back in, you can do this little stuttering, and that will keep resetting the encounter timer. So as we go through here, we're just going to keep going around toward the southeast, and then we can completely avoid all combat. This is a great way to just get through this area quickly without having to go through a bunch of fights if you're trying to keep your level low. Well, now we're outside the Mythril mines. We're going to hop out, and then we're going to switch up our party a little bit because we need to put Aerith in the party. We're going to get all of her limit breaks that we can learn right now. So we're going to throw her in the party, and we also have Cait, Sith, and Cloud in the party. So let's go ahead and switch up their equipment a little bit to make sure that we are ready for what we have to do here. As a quick overview, we're going to have Cloud with the Force Stealer, the Mythril Armlet, and the Fire Ring, which nullifies fire attacks. He's completely immune to fire now. Cait Sith has the Yellow Megaphone, the Silver Armlet, and the Star Pendant, which will protect him against poison. I equipped Aerith with the Wizard Staff. We got that from falling down the train tracks earlier. She also has the Silver Armlet and the Power Wrist. It's not super important to have the Power Wrist on her, but it does boost her strength by 10. If you want to do a physical attack, you'll do a little more damage that way. As for Materia, Cloud has Steel, Rama, and Shiva, and then he also has all linked with the Restore on his armor so that he can heal the whole party. Cait Sith has Manipulate, Transform, Throw, and Chocobo Lure, as well as a couple alls and the Fire and Elemental Materia on his armor so that he will take half damage from fire attacks. Aerith has Lightning, Enemy Skill Ice, Poison, Long Range, Cover, and All. The actual placement of Aerith's Materia doesn't really matter because linking all in cover does nothing. I just want those Materia equipped so that they can gain AP and level up as we go through this process. I'm going to quickly save the game before we do this for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's a good thing to do. I don't want to lose any of this progress. And number 2, I want to do a quick time check here at 7 hours and 34 minutes. So now we can see how long it takes us to learn all of Aerith's limit breaks. We're going to go down into the Mythril mines, and we're going to head toward the back area. We want to get into a few different encounters here. The first one is going to be against this group of enemies. These guys are called Crawlers, and there are 5 of them in the battle. They all have 140 HP. We're going to kill them by using 1 Matra Magic from Aerith, and that will be enough. There are 2 ways to learn limit breaks with characters. The first way is to use a limit break a certain number of times. In Aerith's case, if we use her Healing Wind 8 times, then we'll unlock Seal Evil. The other way to learn limit breaks is by getting kills with that character. And in Aerith's case, we have to get 80 kills in order to learn another limit break called Breath of the Earth. So as you can see, all the little enemies around here are very weak. They go down to just 1 Matra Magic, but there's a different group of enemies that requires a different tactic, so I want to show you what that one looks like. And that's the fight with the Arc Dragon, the same thing that we learned a Flamethrower from. So you can see the little crawler enemies there. We're going to hit them with a Matra Magic to kill them, but we also want to try to manipulate the Arc Dragon, and we want to try to steal from him at the same time. So he might use Flamethrower, but we're going to take reduced damage on Cait Sith, and we'll take no damage with Cloud thanks to his Fire Ring. I did manage to successfully manipulate him. Because Materia Magic is a magic attack, it does not break the manipulation on the Arc Dragon, but it does kill off all the little guys. We want to steal an ether from him because, number one, we need to have a good way to restore MP, and also we can sell those for a lot of money. What we're going to do is to use the manipulation to get him to use a flamethrower on Aerith to get her limit break up. If she's very close to getting a limit break, then use Claw instead. You don't want to hit her too hard and use up too much of her health as we're trying to learn this next limit break. So we use Healing Wind. That gets us a lot of our health back, not all of it. If necessary, Cloud does have that restore materia so that you can heal her as well. And now what we want to do is just to keep using the manipulated flamethrower on Aerith so that she will take damage, and then she will be able to use her Healing Wind limit break. We need her to use it 8 times. It is cumulative, however. That means that if you've used her Healing Wind limit break earlier in the game in previous boss fights, or if you just use her in battle, then you actually have to use it fewer times in this battle. We just have to make sure that we get up to 8 uses from the beginning of the game until this point. Make sure that you keep your health high as you do this. You don't want Aerith to die. That would not be good. And if you want this to go a little bit faster, there is an item that can help you out with that. It's called a Hyper that would put her into Fury status, and then she will take more damage, but it also charges up her limit gauge a little bit faster. So instead of using 2 of those flamethrowers, you might get away with just using 1 of them. Now, the Arc Dragon has 124 MP when it begins the fight, and every time we use Flamethrower, we're using up 10 of that MP, which means that we can get 12 Flamethrowers out of him, which would be equivalent to about 6 of the limit breaks if it takes 2 Flamethrowers per limit break. Now, you might get into the point where you actually run out of MP with the Arc Dragon, and in that case, you could either throw an Ether at him, and then he will be able to use a few more flamethrowers and just finish off the process, or you could run away, get into another fight with him if necessary. I am going to use the ether that I stole from him just to make sure that I get all of those limits done in this one battle. I don't think I had to do all 8, but honestly I wasn't keeping track throughout the rest of the run, so I just wanted to do all 8 in this one fight. I just skipped ahead because there was a few more rounds of using that Healing Wind, and now I just want to finish off the Arc Dragon. I hit him at the beginning with 1 Materia Magic that killed off all the crawlers, and now a second Materia Magic will be enough to finish the fight. So there you go, we have done all of the limits for the level 1, and we learned Seal Evil as a result of using Healing Wind 8 times since the beginning of the game. And now I get to show you the real power of editing, because this does take a little while running around killing enemies. Remember, we have to kill off 80 enemies with Aerith in order to learn her next limit break. So let's go ahead and just use Materia Magic against these weaker enemies. If you get low on MP, then just use an ether that you would steal from the Arc Dragon. Arc Dragon does appear pretty frequently. Just make sure that you manipulate it first so that you're safe from its attacks, and then just keep using Steel until you get it. At that point, you can either run away or just have Aerith kill it. So now what we're going to do is to learn Breath of the Earth, because we've successfully killed 80 different enemies with her. We'll go into the menu down to Limit, and we're going to then select Set, and then go over to level 2. We're going to say yes on that. That will reset her limit gauge, but now we can use Breath of the Earth in battle. Breath of the Earth does not heal you. What it does is it cures status effects on you, and that means that our tactics here are going to be both the same and a little bit different. We're going to get into a fight with the Arc Dragon. We're going to start off by using Materia Magic to kill all the little guys, and then we're going to manipulate the Arc Dragon. We're going to steal an ether from him, and then we're going to use that flamethrower while it's being manipulated to keep attacking Aerith. Cloud is on standby to heal as necessary. One of the main issues that we're going to face is that we are now at a bit higher level, and that means that we're going to be taking less damage from these attacks. So it probably will take 3 of the flamethrowers in order to get you to the point where you're able to use your limit break with Aerith. Now you might be thinking, well, why don't I just use a hyper to put her into the Fury status, and that way I can get the limits a lot faster. And yeah, technically that would work. The problem that you're going to run into is that every time you use Breath of the Earth, it will remove that Fury status from you. So it just means that you have to reuse a hyper. If you've got multiple of them, then sure, you definitely can keep using that. But honestly, it's not too bad doing it without the Furies. It just takes a little while longer. But let's do the math on this. If they can do 12 different flamethrowers before they run out of MP, and it takes 3 flamethrowers for us to be able to use a Breath of the Earth, then that means that we can get at most 4 different limits with her before he runs out of MP. At that point, we can either just use an ether on him so that he gets his MP back, or kill him, and then we can get into another fight. Remember, we still have to get lots of kills, so it doesn't really matter. You can just do it kind of however you want to here. So I'm going to skip ahead because this does take quite a while to get through this whole fight, and then we're going to get right to the end where we're going to use our final Breath of the Earth. This is number 6 in this fight, and we'll have successfully gained our next limit after we finish him off. So let's go ahead and just use a Braver. We'll just save a little MP for Aerith by doing it this way, and then we will get our results screen at the end of this fight, and you'll see that we do in fact unlock the next limit break, which is Fury Brand. Fury Brand is kind of cool because when you use it, the other 2 characters who are with Aerith in battle will have their limit gauges all the way filled up. So that's a good way to get lots of damage out if you need to. But we don't have to use Fury Brand at all. Instead, what we're going to do is just go back to killing enemies. Once you have unlocked Breath of the Earth, you have to kill 80 more enemies to unlock the next limit break. This is the first limit break in the 3rd set. If you remember that screen where it's broken out into group 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is going to be the first one in that 3rd group in the bottom left. So one match of magic will take out these enemies, and this actually was the last enemy group that I needed to get in order to get Planet Protector unlocked. Planet Protector makes all party members temporarily invincible so we don't take any damage. Let's go to that limit menu again, go to set, go down to level 3, and we'll hit yes for that. And now we can start to use Planet Protector in battle, and that will help us to unlock the final limit break that we need to learn in this portion. So let's run around until we get into another battle with our good friend, the Arc Dragon. We're going to do the same process as before. We'll match our magic to get rid of all the little guys. We're going to then manipulate the Arc Dragon. We're going to steal an ether from him, and then we're just going to lay into Aerith with all of those flamethrowers. In order to learn Seal Evil, we had to use Healing Wind 8 times in battle. In order to learn Fury Brand, we had to use Breath of the Earth 6 times in battle. And now, in order to learn the next limit break, we only have to use Planet Protector 5 times in battle. So the number actually does decrease as you go along, which is actually kind of nice, and it saves us some time. Speaking of saving time, if you want to use a hyper in order to get the Fury status to save a little bit of time, you can do it here because we're not going to do anything that will remove that status effect. It will take approximately 4 of the flamethrowers at this current level in order to get Aerith all the way up to her limit break usage. Sometimes it might come up a little bit short, however, so if that's the case, use a claw instead. If you're using 4 flamethrowers, it means that you can get at most 3 different limit breaks with Aerith before the Arc Dragon runs out of MP. We'll make sure that Cloud keeps her heals up. We do not want her to die because when you die, you completely lose your entire limit gauge, which would be a giant waste of time for us, and we'd have to revive her. Well, now we have Planet Protector. Let's go ahead and use that, and you'll see that it makes all of our characters glow a nice yellow color, and during that time, we are invincible. We can't take any damage. The problem is that means that also if we use Flamethrower, it's not going to charge up our limit gauge at all. So we just have to wait here for a few seconds for that yellow color to go away, and then we can keep going with the same process that we were using before. If you have battle speed set really high, then it should go pretty quickly. You don't have to wait too terribly long to resume our method. Well, I'm just going to now skip ahead to the very end of this section here because it would be a long time for you to watch all of these flamethrowers. But let's go ahead and now use our final Planet Protector, and then we'll be able to move on into the next portion. So remember, just use 5 planet protectors and then you're good to go. Because I put that power wrist on Aerith a long time ago with that plus 10 strength, I'll just use a physical attack. She does full damage from the back row thanks to her long range materia, and that will be enough to finish him off. And in the results screen, we'll see that we learned Pulse of Life. This limit break will refill your party's HP, MP, and it also removes status effects, which is pretty nice. The next thing we're going to do is to go into the menu. We're going to go to Materia, and we're going to exchange some materia between Cait, Sith, and Aerith. I'm going to take the enemy skill off of Aerith, and I'm going to put it onto Cait, Sith. We're going to give Aerith Manipulate instead. So they're just switching enemy skill and Manipulate. And now what we need to do is to farm kills with Cait, Sith so that he can learn his next limit break. Now Cait, Sith is unique because he only has 2 limit breaks. He's got 1 level 1 limit break and 1 level 2 limit break. Level 1 is called Dice and level 2 is called Slots. And as soon as you unlock slots, you're going to get a new trophy. Now through the magic of editing, I skipped ahead to the end of this section. We're just using Matcha Magic with Cait Sith in order to kill 40 enemies. That's all you need, 40, to unlock his slots limit break. So once you've eliminated 40 enemies with him, then we get the Wheel of Fortune trophy because we did in fact unlock his last limit break, which is called Slots. So we're all done with Cait Sith now. We don't have to learn any more limits with him. We don't even have to use any of his limits. Okay, let's get out of this room. We're going to open up the menu real quick just to do a time check, and you'll see that we started at 7 hours and 34 minutes, and we're now at 8 hours and 34 minutes, exactly 1 hour to get all of Cait Sith's limit breaks, which is really just the one of them. We'll set it to slots, and then looking at Aerith, we have all of her limit breaks, except for the level 4 one, which we can't get until later on. We're going to eventually be getting all the characters' limit breaks, because we need all of those for a trophy, but we'll do those much later. Instead, we're going to go ahead and leave, and now we're going to get in the buggy. We're going to drive straight toward the southwest. You can try to skip the battles on the way there if you want to, and then we're going to go into Fort Condor and talk to the man here. We've been fighting the Shinra on this battlefield for a long time. We're still settled in for a long war with them. Could you spare some time and help us fight them? We don't want to sound pushy, so if you're busy with something, why don't you finish that first? While there are a variety of times that you can engage with Fort Condor, we're only going to do it 2 times, so let's say I guess we'll help. Really? Then go on up and they'll fill you in on the details. He'll take off running inside and we're just going to follow him. Now go forward, interact with the rope that's hanging down, and you can climb up. Once you get all the way up inside of Fort Condor, you'll see that there's a ladder that you can climb up, so let's do that. And there are different places within Fort Condor that you can go. We're going to start by going over toward the right, ignoring this man for now, and we're going to go down the ladder all the way on the right side, because there is a save point right here. And we're going to use that so that we can use the PHS function to change up our party members a little bit. So let's go ahead and swap out our team real quick. We're going to get rid of Cait Sith and instead put in Barrett, and Aerith will go away, and we're going to put in Red 13 instead. So once again, it's the guys Cloud, Barrett, and Red 13. Now let's go into the Materia menu and make a few changes here. For Barrett, we're going to give him enemy skill, Chocobo Lure, and the All Materia. None of those are linked. And then on his armor, we do have a link to Elemental and Fire, so he'll take less damage from fire attacks. For Red 13, we're going to give him Lightning, Cover, and Long Range. And then on his armor, we're going to link together an All Materia and Ice so that he can hit all enemies with an Ice attack at once. I'm going to keep all of their armor and accessories the same, but I am going to switch up their order just a little bit because Red 13 has the long range materia. He can do full damage from the back row, so I'm going to put him in the back row and Cloud in the front row, so that way everyone can do the most damage with their attacks. So Cloud in the front, Barrett and Red 13 in the back. Now let's head back upstairs by climbing up this ladder, and we're going to talk to the man at the table there. We want Barrett in the party because we can actually earn affection with him by talking to this guy. Now this is something. I never thought anyone would ever climb up here. Your eyes are different. Well, anyhow, any minute now, this will be a battleground against Shinra. You'd better get down before you get involved. Shinra? What are they doing here? The Shinra. It appears you have a problem with Shinra too. After all, you climbed up here. Why not listen to what I have to say for a moment? I guess so. Do you know what's at the top of this mountain? Huh? Something's up there. The reactor and the Condor. I can see you're very perceptive. Yes, it's a reactor and a Condor. It seems the Shinra doesn't like the idea of having a Condor on top of their reactor. Oh, that's one big bird. But why are they trying to get rid of it with weapons? It's not very logical. It seems there's some type of special materia in the reactor above us. And because the Condor came, the Shinra rushed troops here. The military wants to get the Condor and all the villagers off this mountain. The Condor is now warming its egg. It hatches only once every few years. We would like to protect the Condor from being harmed. New lives. I'll do it. I'll protect them from Shinra. So, to protect the egg, are you going to protect the reactor? Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to fight Shinra ourselves. That's why we have hired soldiers to help us. As our sponsor, you can help us with the contribution or by fighting alongside of us. What do you think? You want to join us in our fight? What's there to think about? We gotta do it. You decide what we're going to do. All right. Hey, we'll come to the rescue. Right. Let me lend a hand too. Now let's talk to him one more time. Yes, I've also told the store owners about you, so they should sell you various items. And feel free to use our beds. Well, now we get a free in at this place, so let's go ahead and climb down the ladder, and then when we rush into the middle of the room, we'll be prompted if we want to take a rest or not. Hey, let's get some rest. We'll get some rest. And while you sleep, make sure that you hit that like button and also subscribe for more. Save the game here if you want to. There is a pretty easy fight coming up, but better safe than sorry. Once you've got it all saved up, then let's go ahead and climb up this ladder once again. And we're going to go past the man at the table, and there's going to be another ladder on the left side with an up arrow next to it. Let's interact with that and climb up here. We're going to go up to the top, and then when we get up here, we're going to run up the nearby stairs toward the left. Now talk to the man at the window. Thanks for accepting. So, shall I let you in on our strategy? The enemy has targeted our mountain reactor and will be climbing to reach it. We must set a trap and hire soldiers to protect the place. Well, this is all we have. This village doesn't have any money. Even if we wanted to fight, we can't because we're broke. We need 400 gil to hire one soldier, so if we hire 20 soldiers, we'll need 8,000 gil. We need to ask you to use your own money to hire these soldiers, buy the equipment, set it up, and give the commands. If you don't have time, could you help us with a donation? If you donate the money, we can hire the soldiers and block Shinra's attack. We know what we're asking is selfish. We sent our wives and children to another village, but we're resigned to stay. Let's get back to basics. If the enemy reaches this shed, you'll have to fight them off immediately. It's not the end of the world, but if you lose repeatedly, it could be dangerous. Now then, is there anything you wish to ask? We're not going to go through all of this, we're just going to say enough. Hey, looks like they're getting ready to attack right now. Please, any help is appreciated. Preparations ready? We're going to say, okay, ready. He'll give you a little rundown about what types of enemies to expect and how many. None of that matters, however. We're not going to set any units, we're not going to spend any gil doing this at all. We're just going to go ahead and start the game from here. Now the enemy will slowly start walking up from the bottom. If you hit R1 a couple times, it will raise the speed up so that they'll get going a little bit faster. It still takes a couple minutes for them to slowly walk their way up. The flyers go a little bit faster though, so I'm just going to skip ahead here until the very end. When the enemies do in fact reach the top shed, it will be time for an enemy invasion, and then we got to go outside and fight them ourselves. Honestly, I think that this is actually preferable than trying to fight them all off using the mini game the way it is, but you can do it that way if you really want to. If the enemy gets up to the top, then we'll have to fight this guy. This is Commander Grandhorn. He's basically a mini boss. He's got 2000 HP, and we can get rid of it very quickly if we just hit him with a couple limit breaks. Between Barret and Red 13, we took away over half of his health right at the beginning of this fight. He's got 3 different attacks he can do. Grand Attack causes him to do very low earth damage to all party members. He can also do a physical attack against one party member that does decent damage, and then he has something called Poison Breath, which can poison one of your party members, but that's pretty weak and you don't have to worry about that too much. As we were learning Aerith's limit breaks, then we also got enough AP probably to get you to the point where you have level 2 magics such as Bolt 2, Ice 2, and Fire 2. Just hit him with those things, they all work well, and you'll be able to take him out in no time. We get some pretty good rewards for this fight. We get 200 experience, 20 AP, 2,400 gil, and a Yagras Claw, which is a pretty unique item. Now you can return to Fort Condor and do this battle again. It depends on when you get to certain parts in the story that you're able to return here to unlock a new battle. You will get various rewards for doing that, but most of them aren't very good and honestly not worth our time, and they're not related to any trophies or achievements. So now that we're all done with this battle, we're going to leave and come back. We will be returning to Fort Condor much later in the future to do one more battle, and then we will get to a few very good rewards that we'll need for some trophies. So once that's done, let's go ahead and leave Fort Condor and head back outside. That's actually going to do it for part 6. I hope that you're enjoying this video series as much as I am enjoying making it, and I know that this video is a little bit shorter than some of the other ones, but the total playtime was about the same just because we cut out a lot of the content when we were learning Aerith's limit breaks. I hope that you'll join me for part 7 soon. In that video, we're going to do a lot more cool stuff and go all the way through Cosmo Canyon, so I hope that you'll join me for that. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe for more. I'll see you soon for part 7. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.